Well, good evening and welcome. The biggest show of democracy, India's general elections, begins on the 19th of April. It goes on till the 1st of June. 3 days later, on June the 4th, we will know who comes to power in the world's largest democracy after the conclusion of a mega exercise that brings millions of voters out to vote across 7 phases. 7 phases, like last time, right?
Yes, like 2019.
Across the country, the dates for simultaneous assembly elections in 4 states, those were also announced today. But for now, there'll be no assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. There are security concerns which will be fully addressed once the general elections are over.
Yes, and there was a detailed press conference which was held by Chief Election Commissioner and his 2 deputies who were very much in attendance. And CEC Rajiv Kumar, in fact, cautioned against the dangers of money power, misinformation and communal politics. He also said that people should come out and exercise their franchise. But first up, let me give you a sense of these 7-phase elections that India will be seeing up on your television screens now. We are starting with 19th of April. 19th is when the first phase of elections will be. In fact, there are a number of states where the elections will end in 1 phase alone. There will be a long, perhaps 1.5 months long election from 19th till 25th of May, also on 1st of June. There are 7 states which are going to polls, 3 states which are going to polls in 7 phases. The results, of course, is a Super Tuesday on 4th of June. 4 Indian states, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha are going to polls along with the Lok Sabha elections. And despite all the speculation, the Election Commission has said very clearly that they are yet to be ready for the elections in Jammu and Kashmir. So let's look at the dates or the phases in 7 crucial states. We have identified these states on the basis of the number of MPs they send. The big state of Uttar Pradesh, 80 seats, 7 phases from first phase till the last. And Parliament constituency of Prime Minister, that is Varanasi, will be coming in the last phase on 1st of June. And expect Prime Minister to be there perhaps for almost 3 to 4 days, the way he has scammed also in 2014 and 2019. Looking at the next key state of Bengal, 7 phases again. Remember, the TMC had been demanding that the election should be held only in a single phase. But the Election Commission talking about poll violence and saying that 42 seats, it should be spread across all 7 phases. Looking at another state now, this is the state of Bihar, the neighboring state, 40 seats. The alliances have been more or less almost firmed up. 7 phase again, not much of a surprise there. But remember, in 2019, the BJP in alliance with the JDU had won 39 of these 40 seats. Next state now will be the crucial state of Maharashtra. 48 seats. It's Mahayuti versus Mahavikas Aghadi. But this state is polling only in 5 phases. So despite Bihar having 40 seats, it polls in 7 phases. Bengal having 42 seats, polls in 7 phases, with Maharashtra with more number of seats, that is 48 seats, is actually polling in 5 phases. And the state of Tamil Nadu, one crucial state because BJP has gone all out and Prime Minister has been in Tamil Nadu for almost like 4 to 5 times in the last 2 months, Vishnu. It is polling in 1 single phase. Andhra Pradesh, again, very crucial because here the BJP alliance has formed up with the TDP. It is also polling in 1 single phase. Karnataka, important state because it is seen as window to south. In all, out of these 28 seats, the BJP had won 25 in 2019. It will be polling in 2 phases. So this is how the 7 battleground states look like. So there is no clarity, Vishnu, as to why Election Commission has gone for 7 phases with just 40 seats in Bihar and 5 phases with Maharashtra with 48 seats.
That's true. That's true, but it's the same as last time. But the election prior to that was 9 phases, right?
Yes.
So it's been consistently 7 now for 2 consecutive
yes,
elections.
But what is really the basis? Perhaps Mr. O.P. Rawat will be able to answer that.
Let's just go across to Mr. Rawat. Thanks very much for being with us, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India. Sir, before we get to the number of phases, I think it's fascinating what the Chief Election Commissioner actually said today about the dangers of misinformation. He's spoken about money power, he's spoken about and he's warned political parties, saying that communal slurs will not be accepted. We hear this every time. Very often this happens nonetheless. Do you believe that political parties will take what the Chief Election Commissioner said seriously?
Certainly, I think political parties should adhere to what CEC said today in his press conference, because these are the essentials for a free, fair and credible election. That there should be no communal overtone in any campaign message or any campaign speeches. You wanted to know about phases also. Yes. The Election Commission classifies the polling stations, polling areas, constituencies based on the previous experience and events during the past elections. And that way, you will find that West Bengal is known for violent incidents during local body polls, during Vidhan Sabha polls, and even at times Lok Sabha poll. Same thing about Bihar. They have left-wing extremism area in Gaya and other areas. So there also you require to have a lot of central paramilitary forces, and their deployment takes time because they have to move from one polling area, one phase to another phase, and they must have a little rest so that they can be fresh for having the onerous duties.
Sure. I just wanted to ask you one question, Mr. Goel, before we go across to our panelists who are waiting. Huge day today. Finally, we've been waiting for so many months. Now we know when the elections are going to take place. You know, there was a question from NDTV Sunil Prabhu asking about why Mr. Arun Goel quit as election commissioner. Were you satisfied with the response that was given that these are for personal reasons? The election commissioner quitting just a couple of days, couple of weeks, a couple of days before the announcement of the elections. Do you not believe that there needs to be greater clarity on the circumstances? Was there disagreement? Was there dissent within the election commission? Is that what these personal reasons are all about?
In election commission, disagreement, dissent and all these things have never resulted in any such precipitated step by any of the members or election commissioner. Have been there. There were Mr. Ashok Lavasa, Mr. Sunil Arora, and there were moments when we had a lot of differences of opinion about many issues. But it never happened because we iron those differences out, or we come to a consensus on a sort of mostly agreed points. And that is what happens. And in case somebody insists, then the dissenting opinion is also recorded in the minutes of the meeting. So I think what Mr. Rajiv Kumar said, that it is for the personal reasons, I would definitely agree with that, because they were in West Bengal on 4th, 5th and 6th of March, and then they returned. Only after that, resignation was submitted. So I think everything was normal and must have been due to...
For today, certainly, they presented a picture that all's well that ends well. It was a full commission with Rajiv Kumar and his 2 election commissioners who are his deputies present in that press conference. But the point that was made, Riju Datta, particularly by the Trinamool Congress, much before the election dates were announced, that it should be held in a single phase. But in what will be seen and rather veiled or direct, whatever you may call it, the Election Commission did talk about poll violence, which is something which has almost become symptomatic of politics of Bengal.
Look, we wanted a single-phase election because whenever there is a single phase, there is a huge voter turnout. But the EC has to disregard it because, you know, they have just copy-pasted the 2019 schedule because they have to please their political masters. They have to give time to the BJP star campaigner to come and campaign here in Bengal. 7 phases. It is not only anti-federal, it is inhuman. On the 6th phase in Bengal, the Jungle Mahal area will be voting, and at that time, in Jungle Mahal area, the temperature is above 45 degrees Celsius. It gives, basically it is to give time to BJP because they know they are not winning Bengal, to use the loot money they have got from electoral bonds, to use their, extortion departments of ED, CBI to put pressure on our leaders, to use the paramilitary forces as BJP cadres. So they are going to do Sam, Dam, Dam, the wait for all the 7 phases.
All right, Riju, half a second. Now that you've gotten into a hardcore electioneering on the program, we must get a response from the BJP as well. Before I do that, I'd just like to introduce all our panelists. Ajay Alok of the BJP, Salman Soz of the Congress, Mr. Gandhi of the DMK, Riju has been speaking, Mr. Rawat we've already introduced, Ashok Malik joins us as well, Neerja Chaudhary, Sandeep Shastri and Rajat Sethi. Let me just quickly go across to Ajay Alok. You've heard what Riju Datta had to say. How would you respond to what he says the BJP intends to do in Bengal?
Well, the election has not yet started, but I can feel that Riju is trembling like TMC, that the star campaigner needs time to campaign. Why you are so scared if you're so sure about yourself? Or are campaigning there for 7 phases? And look who is talking about electoral bonds, which comes in checks in white money, which is not a black money at all. But a person from a party where 51 crores recovers in cash, he's talking about electoral bonds. Second largest recipient of electoral bonds, and you are talking of electoral bonds. Very nice, Riju Datta. You are going very nice.
All right, I'll stop on the tutu meme right now. Let's go on to our other panelists as well. Ashok, one of the key points which was mentioned by the Chief Election Commissioner today is that this entire money, the use of money in Indian politics and during elections has to be cleared up. Do you believe that tomorrow is going to be, a day after is going to be Monday, a really crucial day when the Supreme Court will likely pass an order on the extent of further information on electoral bonds? If there is that linking number which comes on which corporate gave which party how much money, would that actually go a long way in cleaning up the process and providing transparency?
Look, yes and no. The point is, campaign finance in India has always been very, very complicated. It was complicated before electoral bonds came in. It remains complicated now. The electoral bonds system, which was introduced, is far from perfect. Having said that, it can certainly be improved and more transparency can be brought in. If the result of the current controversy and the judgment, much as I respect the Supreme Court's judgment, if the result of it is that parties and campaign donors start going back to cash, that will, to my mind, be a regressive step. We need to continue to formalize donations through bank transfers and checks as to the degree possible, which is what electoral bonds do. There can certainly be more transparency, but to argue that this system is somehow worse than what prevailed earlier would not be correct. So in our quest for the ideal system, let us be aware of the fact that what we gave up had a lot of problems as well. So
Ashok,
that's maybe, it's not an easy answer.
Yes, but the question is also that there is visible quid pro quo as is being alleged by opposition here.
It's being alleged by all parties. I mean, yes, people, I can argue that the Trinamool Congress government is guilty of a quid pro quo. Somebody else can argue that the BJP in Delhi is guilty of a quid pro quo. DMK in Tamil Nadu will also be accused of that. That is a reality. Our politics is complicated. And that is why many big corporate donors do not want to donate publicly, because they feel that the other parties will take it out on them. And all parties are guilty of this perception. So we do have a very complicated campaign finance system in our country. We cannot resolve it with a television debate of this nature, to be honest.
Let me just, let's look at some of the larger trends in terms of bloc formation and alliances as we head into these elections. Salman, this question to you. The RLD, TMC, JDU, they've exited the India bloc. The TDP, JDU have returned to the NDA. The NCP has split. That's worked in the advantage.
No. We have not exited the India bloc. We have not exited the India bloc.
Sorry, the TMC is contesting the against the NDA bloc. But the point on alliances, do you, Salman, believe that the India bloc is much weaker at this particular juncture? That in terms of alliances, it just seems that the NDA is on a far stronger wicket.
Vishnu, I think this election is going to be a surprising election for a lot of you, because when everybody was saying that this election is done and dusted, the BJP is going to win 350, 370, 400, 400 par, etc. I think the results are going to be shocking for everyone. And the reason is very simple. There are 10 years of record of the Prime Minister, and he's presided over massive unemployment in this country, massive price rises, and massive cronyism. He's the person who said, and we all know, that I will do in 60 months what others could not do in 60 years. And that is true. He has presided over the biggest corruption and extortion scandal in the country's history. And by the way, legalized. Dr. Manmohan Singh said this was legal, when demonetization happened, he said this was legalized plunder, and loot.
No, but Salman, just sorry to interrupt, and I'll let you continue. But don't you believe that demonetization as a theme is fairly old now? Is this top of what voters might be thinking?
I'm saying that Dr. Singh at that time called that legalized plunder and loot. What would he call this? This is in front of us. And by the way,
but Salman, the question will also be
the data's not out.
That in these 75 years, you have been in power for good 60 years. What did the Congress do to ensure that there is a cleanup of the entire election process, that there is no muscle power, that there is no money power which is used?
Maria, I disagree with the premise of the question. The question is not, we're not the incumbents right now. The incumbent is Prime Minister Modi and the BJP. They have to tell the people of the country what they've done for them in these 10 years. What we are saying is that what they've done is they've given, we already talked about it, massive unemployment, massive. They're giving people ration and saying we cannot give you jobs. And then on top of that, they're basically extorting money from corporates, or they're giving their favorite
Ajay
corporates
should respond to this.
contracts.
Ajay, please respond to Salman.
Just one final.
Sure, go ahead, Salman.
If the Prime Minister really is an honest Prime Minister, why doesn't he say that the Supreme Court has said that the scheme he brought in, through Parliament is unconstitutional? All of the money that has come through electoral bonds will be returned immediately, in one day. Not just the BJP, all of us will return it.
Okay.
If he's so honest, why doesn't he do it?
The Congress is willing to return all the funding that you have received?
Okay.
Yes, if
through electoral bonds?
If the Prime Minister...
That's a huge statement. Salman, at a time when the Congress party is saying that you don't have funds for these elections, are you actually saying that you will return the funds that you got?
Yes, but Vishnu, listen to me. I invite the Prime Minister Narendra Modi to say that he made a mistake. Mr. Arun Jaitley, the late Arun Jaitley, made a mistake. We came up with an unconstitutional scheme to swindle the people of the country. We're going to return all of the money.
Okay.
And he then invites
Salman,
all the
huge
parties to return the money.
The Congress party is saying that they're willing to return money received through electoral bonds if the BJP does. Right?
Okay.
Yes,
Ajay Alok, please respond to this. Salman, you've made your point. Ajay Alok, please, BJP.
When the basic fundamentals are wrong, people tend to give these type of slogans. Well, let us come to the electoral bonds and let's check the real facts. Let's do the fact check. Total of 20,000 crore rupees bonds were issued. BJP got 6,000 crore bond. Where remains the 14,000 crore bonds? Now, by linking the bonds, we'll are very happy that all the numbers should be linked and it's going to be submitted in the court by the SBI. Then at least we'll come to know that who is funding whom. That will give you the exact pictures. Now, before these electoral bonds, what was the cash transaction used to be made? Can any party give the account? Today you are saying that you are ready to refund. Everything is Prime Minister is so honest. If you are so honest, so then why don't you tell how much cash did Congress party receive? Because recently we have seen a glimpse of cash in one of your MP's houses amounting to around 350 crores. Where did that came from?
Salman, a quick response and then I'll go to my other panelists. Yes.
I think what the BJP has been parroting by this 14,000 crores and 6,000 crores has been proven to be a lie. Unfortunately,
what you have been saying that was a lie. That 7,000 crores.
Please don't interrupt me. I did not interrupt.
Because you are saying you are not saying.
Be civil. I did not interrupt you. Listen to me, and then you can disagree. I think the record is out there in the public domain. In fact, journalists have now today on social media called out the Home Minister and said, "You're lying." Now, even if the Home Minister was right, he was wrong. It's not 6,000 and 14,000 crores. One party is receiving 6,000 crores, and that party leads the country's government, which is in charge of the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate, and the income tax authorities that have gone after companies who then have bought electoral bonds. We don't know who they have bought electoral bonds for. As soon as it becomes public, I'm pretty confident.
So let's wait for that. Let's wait for that to come out in public. Okay, hang on, both of you. I don't want to keep going back and forth on this. We've got so much to discuss.
The figment of imagination cannot be tolerated on this show. You have to be very specific. You just can't go and just raise allegations. This is just figment of imagination.
Okay, all right, both of you. One second.
The most corrupt party in the history of
this country. One sec. Let's not get into a fight right now. Let's have. There'll be lots of opportunity for everybody to come in. One sec. The election there's still some time left over there. Nija, just on the question of what I was putting forward to Salman earlier, and I flubbed my question. What I meant to actually ask was on the status of blocks, of alliances right now. It just seems that the India bloc, on the basis of exits, on the basis of in Bengal, the Trinamool not willing to work with the Congress, the entire situation in Maharashtra being completely different from what it was a couple of years back. Could you tell us how the bloc situation, the alliance situation is not working at all for India at this stage, the India bloc?
Well, the alliance is working in some parts. It's working in Bihar. It is working in Delhi. It's already been forged, 4-3 between AAP and the Congress. And of course, it's not working in West Bengal. Certainly, that's true. The Trinamool Congress and the Congress and the left are going to be fighting each other. Some people believe that ultimately this may even help the Trinamool Congress because the opposition vote to the TMC will get divided in two ways. BJP will take some and left and Congress will take some. So whether this happens or not on the ground remains to be seen. But Maharashtra is a very interesting case. Maharashtra is where the real battle is going to be fought, 48 seats. Yes. And it is a completely confused scene because, you had last time Shiv Sena and the BJP between them got 41 out of those 48 seats.
That's right.
And the Shiv Sena is split and the NCP is split. And of course, the Sharad Pawar NCP and the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena and the Congress are together. It remains to be seen whether Prakash Ambedkar's party also goes with them. Many people believe, I don't know how true this is going to be, that it could be a 50-50 split in the Lok Sabha seats in Maharashtra because the organizational might of Shiv Sena and the NCP have gone to the BJP side, but the sympathy factor at the ground level remains with Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar because their parties are split. So it's a very interesting scenario in Maharashtra.
Yes, I agree with you because I think the real battle in this 2024 election, and comment on this, Sandeep Shastri, is being fought in which states? Would you say Maharashtra, Bengal are the states to watch out for? And of course, down south, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh are crucial again. These are states BJP never got numbers, but this time around they are approaching it very differently.
Maria, I would be looking out at the type of alliance politics we will have in 5 states of India: Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, West Bengal, and Karnataka. For me, I think the way alliances play out in these 5 states, and more importantly, the impact of the presence of alliances on the ground or the absence of the alliances on the ground, what impact it has, I think, will decide and define how effective either the NDA is
but
or
Sandeep
the
Shastri, with Prime Minister himself
is
on the ticket, do you think this alliance of Samajwadi Party and the Congress, which did not really do well in 2017 assembly elections, can spring a surprise this time around? And what is giving you hope in Bihar? Because again, it is the Prime Minister, the Modi factor, which is, which is for people to decide, the Labhartis. How do we forget that?
Maria, I'm not making any projection at this stage. I'm only raising the question that in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, in Maharashtra, especially, and possibly West Bengal, you have a competition between two narratives. I'm not at this stage saying which narrative appears to be in the front, but there is a clear competition between these two narratives. And the other states you referred to, let's remember Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and Kerala.
Yes.
In 2019, the BJP did not get a single seat. In Tamil Nadu, its ally got a seat. And even if they were to get a few seats in these three states I referred to, that would add to their numbers to take forward. So I think I would be crucially looking at these 5 states because, again, I'm not looking at these 5 states in terms of whether the opposition alliance is stronger or their message is stronger or the NDA message is stronger.
Narrative between India and NDA which is at play in these 5 states. That is an interesting assessment, Rajat.
In these 5 states, in these 5 states, there is a visible competition. Which direction it goes, I think the next 45 days will decide.
I just wanted to, in fact, go across to Rajat as well. Rajat, I think it was in late November, early December when there was a study, and just building on the point that Maria mentioned, the role of Narendra Modi. 78% of people polled said that Narendra Modi was the dominant figure, that they were okay with his governance. If we look at the national picture, it just seems that there is nobody who can compete with that in terms of an opposition leader. Do you believe that the leadership issue, Modi versus who, will in a sense define this election?
In some states, especially northwards of Vindhyas, I do see this being a clear referendum on Modi and Modi's governance for the past decade. South of Vindhyas, it would depend on BJP's craftiness. How do they effectively make elections, say in Maharashtra, say in Karnataka, and elsewhere, even West Bengal, about a referendum on Modi. Right now, Maharashtra is too much entangled on its local politics, which has zero repercussions on national agenda. The problem right now in Maharashtra is that BJP needs to now quickly do the alliances, put all the numbers together with NCP and with the Shiv Sena and move forward, launch the campaign. So they have the template ready. The problem of the India Alliance on the other side is they don't have a slogan. They don't have a campaign theme. They in bits and pieces, we have seen Rahul Gandhi coming in, throwing in some absolutely junk economic ideas from a numerical sense. He says that I'm going to give old pension scheme. I'm going to give a legal guarantee on MSP on everything out there, all kind of crops out there. Then he goes out and says that he's going to give 1 lakh to all the women in the whole country. I don't know how that economics works. A simple calculation back of the envelope will say it's a 40 lakh crore budget. So right now, I think India bloc should get their election manifesto in place, come up with genuine promises which you can actually back with data.
The absence of a common minimum program.
Or
a common narrative. Is there a thread that binds all of these parties together, Mr. Gandhi? Is it just about anti-Modi or defeat Prime Minister Modi? What is the narrative with which you are going ahead? That's not clear because in these elections, all these parties which form India will be coming up with their own manifestos, with their own agendas.
See, this election is not about who should be the Prime Minister. As our leader always says, this election is about who should not be the Prime Minister and who should not be ruling this country. That is the narrative. See, even today, this is yet another example to demonstrate that the institutions and even constitutional bodies are being compromised under BJP. See the pattern of the phases and the dates by which the Election Commission has announced today. Today, Tamil Nadu is going for polls first on April 19th. And the Honorable Prime Minister has already completed 5 trips to Tamil Nadu in the last 15 days, which means he has concluded the campaign. That means the dates are being prefixed by BJP and it is just published by the Election Commission. This is how they are being compromised. Likewise, when we talk about the phases, the states where BJP is likely to lose miserably or even wiped out, like Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they are going in for a single phase. Likewise, the places where BJP is too confident of winning, like Gujarat, they are going for a single phase. Whereas in places like Orissa, Maharashtra and Bihar, where BJP has to fight its battle, they are going for multiple phases because this is only to engineer the election process and manipulate it. So that in multiple phases, they can put all their election machineries in a a particular constituency and try to engineer the electoral process.
Okay.
So the whole idea of election commission, rather it is not election commission. It is the government which is speaking through the election commission. That's it. Nothing more. There is no independence of election commission today. This institution is also compromised. So our whole agenda is who should not be the prime minister.
No, but that's a pretty strong statement, sir. On the basis of what evidence do you have to make that?
No, that's what the pattern of the election commission today. Otherwise, what is the rationale of 5 phases in Orissa? Orissa is having just 20 seats. Day before yesterday, they were talking about one nation, one poll. But
okay, let former CEC,
yes.
Mr. O.P. Rawat respond to that.
Mr. Rawat, could you tell us about the sense about 7 phases? And when someone says that the EC is biased, how would you respond?
At the outset, I had said that phases are decided based on criticality of polling stations, polling areas, previous events in last elections. Based on all that, Election Commission decides number of phases in a particular state or constituencies. So I can't really see any political context in that.
But if a state has more number of seats in comparison to another one, for example, Tamil Nadu, and if you were to compare it with, say, Maharashtra and also the state of Bihar and Bengal, and then Bengal and Bihar have 7 phases, and Tamil Nadu has just 1 phase.
Tamil Nadu has generally had single-phase elections, whereas the West Bengal has always had 7 or 8 phases of elections. And even Bihar also multi-phase elections because of the antecedents.
Why Orissa should have 5 phases? They are having only 20 seats.
Yeah, Odisha is unfathomable. You are right. Odisha, there is no need of 5 phases.
Like Orissa in a single phase, how are they going to do the one nation, one poll? So is it a double standard of BJP?
All right. So question marks on Orissa and how that resulted in 5 phases. Mr. Shastri, just, there was a study done by CSDS, which I was going through, where approximately between 25 and 30% of voters actually statistically decide on the day of the polls who they're going to vote for. Is it statistics or data like this that the India Alliance would actually be looking at in terms of giving them a sense of hope?
Again, I don't think it's just the opposition alliance which is looking at that data. I think all parties are looking at that data, and all parties are positioning their campaign or giving importance to the last few days of the campaign, keeping that factor in mind. And I think what parties are also closely looking at is there a particular segment of the voter who is tending to take this decision a little late in the day? There are trends with regard to younger voters. There are trends with regard to women voters. There are trends with regard to those who are not conventionally seen as supporting a particular party. And these are factors which all political parties today are aware of and are bringing into their electoral calculations. But I would also make the point like Rawatji made and others made, while there may be a logic in terms of the security situation when you hold multiple phases for a state, I think there needs to be a bit more of transparency in that, because Karnataka with 28 seats has 2 phases, and Tamil Nadu with much more seats has 1 phase. And both states are more or less similar in terms of their security situation and past experience with regard to polling violence. So I think a little more transparency on this would evoke much greater public confidence on this matter.
Yes. Salman, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead.
Just 2 points very quickly. One, on this data, I really want to focus on the facts. Between January 1, 2018 to from March 2018 to January 2024, electoral bonds sold 16,492. BJP 8,200 crores out of that, 50% by itself. So that is these are facts. These are not our facts. These are SBI's facts. Second, on this whole idea of security, in Jammu and Kashmir, Now there has not been an assembly election for 10 years. At the height of militancy in the mid-90s, elections were held sooner than this time. If after Article 370 was removed, the security situation, everything has improved. Why can we not have an assembly election in that so-called union territory?
But Salman, does it really make that big a difference? Because there was a reference to it. And the election commissioner, the chief election commissioner, saying it'll happen shortly after.
No. Vishnu, that's not the point. The point is that the government has been claiming that everything is better in Jammu and Kashmir. Please tell me, Vishnu, you know Jammu and Kashmir very well, and Maria does too. In 2011, or was it 2009, we had a panchayat election, grassroots level election, with almost 90% participation. And we cannot have an assembly election after all these great things that have been done in Jammu and Kashmir. What kind of security? You can't have 80 assembly seats, and out of that about 46.
Without knowing the deployment numbers of security forces, those required, for example, in the northeast this time, how can we actually say? But how can we say that they have the numbers?
Let me
the welcome news is there will be elections that's happening very shortly after.
You know it, and I know it, that in the mid-90s, the situation was far, far worse. Thousands of people were getting killed. Thousands every year were getting killed. And we had elections in 1996.
All right. Ajay Alok has a point on this, Salman.
One final point.
Yes.
You said, why this prime minister and the governance and all that? Let me suggest to all of you and those watching that a prime minister who can enjoy himself in Kaziranga National Park but does not have the decency to go to Manipur, where there has been so much death and destruction, so much misery and agony, he does not deserve to be the prime minister of this country.
All right, Ajay, go ahead.
Well, Mr. Salman should remember that assembly election only takes place in state, right? Not in UTs. Is all the three have been made state? That will be done by the parliament. Have some basic common sense. And elections will be taken care of. Don't worry about that. Think you states for the last 10 years or for the last 2018, you have not been able to loot Jammu Kashmir. That's your problem. Somewhere you're getting short of money. All kind of rhetorics and all kind of useless things. The second thing is to say about electoral bonds, features by SBI. Well, BJP is a national party which gets its audit done every year. And it is reflected in our audit book that how much electoral bonds we got. I know, as far as my knowledge, that it's 6,000 crores. And you know it's 8,500 crores. Well, where do you get all this freak ideas from?
That is from 2019. 6,000 crores. 6,000 crores. Home Minister is wrong. He's misleading the country. 6,000 crores from 2019.
Guys, peace, folks, peace. One second, everybody, peace.
There's a lot of chatter around these electoral bonds. But can that be really a talking point in these elections? Because it's for the politicians to explain, the parties will explain, but for the Janta, does it really matter?
Is electoral bond black money?
Of course it matters.
No, I'm asking Ashok Malik. That's a question for an assessment.
These people have been extorting money.
Yes, Ashok Malik.
The Supreme Court judgment itself is the proof that it is black money. What are we talking about?
Yes,
it is whitewashing BJP's black money into white.
Ashok Malik, please.
You guys are just gone mad. You don't have any arguments.
Okay, Ashok Malik, if you can hear me, that's a question to you.
Becomes white and black. Very good. Keep it up.
Okay, we'll try to fix that.
All right, okay, can we just have
Ashok, please? Party which has devised scientific mechanism. Scientific mechanism to whitewash black and white.
Electoral bonds are a very important issue of debate. They have been in the media in the past few days. Campaign finance is also a very important issue which needs to be discussed not just before elections on election eve, such as at platforms such as these, but even afterwards. But if you really expect me to believe that electoral bonds is going to become a big issue for voters, and in this election over the next 2 or 3 months, yes. I would beg to differ. I don't think it is the primary driver of people's voting intentions or voting motivations. I don't think people are looking at it as an issue that will drive and decide which way, determine which way they vote. So yes, there's going to be a lot of heat and dust and noise about it, especially in the media and in debates such as these over the next few days. But I don't think it's as important an issue in real politics as we imagine it is.
Nirja, in terms of issues, as we, start getting final comments from everybody, I was just trying to, think through what some of the key election themes are this time around, or issues, and I listed, 3 or 4. The challenge of opposition coordination, we've spoken about that. The battle for backward castes, that's going to be statistically very, very important. The entire issue of the race for competitive welfareism, we've seen that in the recent elections as well, and the emergence of India and our foreign policy and international standing. Would you agree with this, and would you add to this on what some of the themes on which this election will be fought?
I think while all these issues are there, the issue of 2024 is going to be Narendra Modi.
I see.
Yes.
And his leadership and his delivery, and people will judge him. Those who agree with him will vote for him. Those who are dissatisfied might vote for the opposition. And I think, to my mind, that's very, very clear.
So it's a referendum on Modi. Is that what you're saying, Nirja?
Yeah, more or less.
Riju,
more or less.
How would you respond to that and the points which I mentioned as well? Is this a referendum on Narendra Modi, these elections?
Look, I'll tell you one thing. Before I answer your question, one important topic that nobody raised. I come from Bengal, where there is 7-phase elections. You have to also keep into account that for these 60, 70 days, there will be no development work for the people of the state. There will be no work for the people of the state.
No, but
because we are going to be.
But can you answer the question? Because it's,
I'll answer you. I'll answer the question.
So answer the question. You see, if we ask and you guys answer on something else, then we lose track of this discussion.
I'm answering the question. I'm answering the question.
Please.
In Bengal, Modi's guarantee is a dud. It's a jumla. Here only Didi's guarantee works. And if you ask me the question, it's not Modi who, it will be Modi or BJP against the people of India. That's all that is going to be in this vote.
Okay, since you are so confident about it, but with Prime Minister Modi on the ticket, again I'm making that point. How much of that is the factor, and perhaps the only factor, Sandeep, besides all that Vishnu mentioned? Sandeep Shastri.
I think the impact of the Modi factor would vary from state to state. I think in the north, central and western India, it's going to be a very, very critical issue. In the south, it varies from state to state. In Karnataka, the Modi factor has always been important in a Lok Sabha election, 2014, 2019. If you look at both these elections, the previous year, the BJP did badly, and the next year in the Lok Sabha election, it does well. So I think while the Modi factor is something very critical for the BJP and will play out for it very effectively in some parts of India, there are also pockets of this country where that would not be the factor. And Maria, quickly, I think we have forgotten the factor of the economic dimension or the economic status of the voter, the economic perspective of the voter. Yes. I think class will matter in this election as has mattered in previous elections.
So class, when you say, will it be here that the competitive welfareism that Vishnu was talking about will play out? Because there is a state
not
welfareism
just competitive
versus the center's welfare.
I think it would depend upon people's perception of whose benefits have actually reached the people. That, I think, will be the critical factor.
Rajat, we've seen in the recent assembly elections the sterling performance of the BJP cutting across the Hindi heartland. And yet there is the entire argument that assembly elections have limited predictive potential. In other words, we cannot necessarily say that, that this is a wave which is going to continue. But given the fact that these elections were so recent, do you believe that that we might actually see something of a wave or a continuing trend being a factor?
Well, I think state elections necessarily are about local state topics, and this is why you see considerable amount of divergence voting pattern wise when it comes to national election versus state elections. There is just no doubt at all that this is going to be about Prime Minister Modi alone. I mean, if you mentioned issues, I think you missed out on one issue, which is infrastructure.
Right.
Infrastructure, the amount of outlays that have happened, the amount of actual visible, tangible projects that have been, opened up for the public usage is just good enough a reason for people to decide on. And another thing that I'm very eager to sort of see this time is, the BJP that we have known for 30, 40 years has always stood on certain pillars. 370 removal of that was a pillar. Ram Mandir was a pillar. All of these issues have been addressed. What are the next set of decadal ideas that BJP is going to put in its manifesto? That would be something very interesting to see. How does it keep its cadre charged for the next several decades going? Can Prime Minister Modi lay the foundations for those big ticket items?
Yes.
That is for me going to be
only today that Modi Ka Parivar campaign song has been launched. So I think that charge that the Prime Minister started his Delhi journey with, that his entire politics has been against the dynasts, is something that we'll see resonate more, is the sense that we are certainly getting. But how will the Congress respond to this charge? I mean, a charge which will be coming at you again and again, Salman Soz, of dynastic politics. Do you really have a response? Because if after what Lalu Yadav said in that rally in Bihar, there is this entire campaign of the BJP that each and every citizen of India is now, according to the BJP, standing up and saying that they are Prime Minister's family because he has stood up for them, what will be the Congress's response to it?
Well, I think the people of India are very, very smart. They know that this dynastic politics that the Prime Minister talks about, he blames the opposition parties always. But then look at the BJP, full of dinners, full of them. In fact, in Delhi, they have a Lok Sabha candidate who is the daughter of the late Sushma Swaraj. So I think people can separate these things out. As far as the Congress Party is concerned, the Congress Party will also have a very positive agenda. We're going
when
to
will
try
we see the agenda? When will we see a common minimum program?
No, it's already out. The Congress Party has laid out certain elements that are very, very critical.
No, but the Congress is the big brother in this alliance.
The young people,
no, in terms of the alliance.
India common minimum program is the question that is asked.
No, so wait a second. The India alliance and the Congress Party, there is no difference between us. What do we all want? We want jobs for young people. That's what's in the Congress Party's agenda. We want the farmers of this country to have a better life, and the workers. That's in everybody's agenda. We want a better situation for women of this country. That's in everybody's agenda. There is no difference whether it's in Bihar or Maharashtra, whether it's in...
No, there is a difference. Mamata Banerjee is not in agreement with the caste census issue, which was raised first by Nitish Kumar, who was supposedly a convener, and then he did that. She was not in agreement.
Maria, politics is not about one difference or two differences. Politics is about as many areas of agreement. And there are so many areas of agreement between us.
Okay.
And most importantly, as my colleagues have said, that this government must go. Because if 140 crore people are the Prime Minister's parivar, right. Why did he not go to Manipur? Why did he not go to Kanpur?
Right. Okay, Salman, we get that. I'm running out of time on this program.
Killed himself.
We'll also wait to see what the election manifesto of the BJP is. At the moment, there's a Sankalp process that's going on. The opinions of people across the country are being collected. What is the likely date?
They're yet to announce that.
A couple of weeks from now, presumably.
Yes, perhaps.
All right, well, that's it then from Maria and me. We've been looking very closely at these elections today, a huge day today. We now know that on the 4th of June is when...
and that's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday. That's when we'll know who the next Prime Minister, the next government in power is going to be. But there's been hectic campaigning activity, lots of coverage of all of that in the days and weeks ahead.